Okay, now, Miss Garrett, the court is going to accept the plea bargain. Well, first of all, Ms. Garrett, do you understand the state's offer? And also, do you understand the court's finding indigent based on the finding indigency? The court costs in this case will be waived pursuant to Article 42.156 Code of Criminal Procedure.
Yes,
And do you think that the state's offering the court's finding, well, do you understand the state's offering the court's finding?
yes, sir.
And do you think that it's fair and just? And do you accept it? Okay. Ms. Garrett, the court is going to follow the plea bargain agreement with the findings that the court previously made. And at this time, Ms. Garrett, this will conclude your case. You're going to stand on the X next to your attorney, follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following the directions of the clerk, you'll be free to go on your blessed day.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Just, if you don't mind that, it would be pretty bright something in the middle, and then one of the ads and those in there.
Court is in session in two cases, cause number M329840 and cause number M327988. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Damon J. Stanford. Mr. Stanford, would you please come forward?
What time was on the line?
Mr. Stanford, first of all, I know you read the sign before you came in the courtroom.
Yes, sir. I last night. I live in Winnie, Texas, but they called me last night and told me I had court. So I just put something on and got up here this morning.
So you had about 12 hours to get dressed?
I'm saying I was already in town. I don't live out here. I was in town to see my daughter. I live in Winnie, Texas.
Winnie, Texas, about 20 miles from here? 30 miles at the most?
20.
20?
That's wrong.
So you say you have time from yesterday to put on those long pants? Okay, yeah, the court doesn't believe that. Now, I understand that next time you come into this courtroom, you need to dress properly, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're represented in this case by your attorney Todd LeBlanc, who's appearing via Zoom. Mr. LeBlanc, how are you doing?
Good, Judge, thanks.
And Mr. Stanford, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Now, Mr. LeBlanc, what is your announcement in Mr. Stanford cases?
Judge, can we get 30 days to make an announcement? I think we may have it worked out. I just need some time.
Okay, give us a reset date. Is that gonna be on the 21st?
Yes, it will.
Okay, these cases is gonna be reset to June 21st of 2023. And Mr. Stanford, you're gonna get your reset here in court. Once you get your reset here in court, you'll be free to go. And Mr. LeBlanc, your resets will be sent to you. You're free to go. You have a blessed day. And again, Mr. Stanford, make sure you're properly dressed when you come to court. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. All right, please
you, Your
stand up. You're welcome. Jefferson County Court of Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 2 cases. First case is cause number M321623. Second case is cause number M330513. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Jarrell Terrence Morris. Mr. Morris, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Morris, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Morris, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God? Mr. Morris, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Morris? You doing all right? That's good. Now, Mr. Morris, you're here represented by your attorney Marcus Wilkerson. Attorney Wilkerson, how are you doing?
I'm well, Judge, thank you.
That's good. Mr. Wilkerson, do you waive a record in Mr. Morris' cases?
Yes.
Mr. Morris, in cause number M321623. Let's see. I have before me a document that is titled Information This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, Jarrell Terrence Morris, allegedly on or about November 23rd of 2018, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operated a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Morris, do you understand what you have been charged with? And to discharge Mr. Morris, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No, it's a no contest.
No contest?
Yes.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Mr. Morris, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document? On page 2 of this same document, there are set initials JM on a line next to a box that's check nola contendere. Did you place your initials on this document? On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is this your signature? I also have a document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? Mr. Morris, I also have before me a document on paper that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Morris, before you sign and initial all of these documents, did you read the documents? Did you understand what you read? And did your attorney go over these documents with you? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Morris, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State's Exhibit Number 2, which is in the court's file, the probable cause affidavit. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibits 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Wilkerson, you have advised and counseled Mr. Morris. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
Not at all, Your Honor.
And Mr. Morris, your attorney, Mr. Wilkerson, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yeah.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yeah.
Mr. Okay, now, Mr. Morris, the court is going to find that you're mentally competent to stand trial. The court will accept your plea of no contest. The court will also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. The court will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
In exchange for pleading no contest, state your plea to recommend 180 days probated for 12-month probation, $1,000 fine, court cost, 80 hours community service, all terms and conditions for standard TWI education first, and an interlock device This is to run concurrent with the next case, Your Honor, as well. Cause number 330-513. I'm not sure which number we did, but first, these are gonna run concurrent at the same time. All the terms and conditions are exactly the same. So the things that community service hours can run concurrent, he's not required to do 160, it's just 80.
Okay,
Thank you.
see what the court cost is. Okay, now, Mr. Morris, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you're not serving time in the Jefferson County Jail on this case because you'll be on probation for 12 months. During the 12-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $392. You also be required to pay a restitution fee of $15. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month and your analysis fee of $15 each month. The total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month, is $210 a month. Will you be able to pay the $210 each month?
Yes, sir.
This case, well, you also, as a term and condition of probation, be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend and complete a detailed education class, have a drug and alcohol assessment, install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own and operate. And this case will run concurrent with cause number M330513, and you would also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of this probation. Mr. Morris, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Morris, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Morris, we will proceed to your next case. Your next case is cause number M330513. And in this case, Mr. Morris, I also have a document that is titled information that was also filed by the district attorney's office. And in this information, Mr. Morris, it alleges that you, Jarrell Terrence Morris, on or about May 22nd of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle, that you also committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Morris, do you understand what you have been charged with? And to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? And Mr. Morris, I also have a document here. This document is titled Misdemeanor Plea of Admonishment, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. You recognize this document?
Yeah.
On page 2 of this same document, there are a set of initials JM on the line next to the box that's checked no contingent, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yeah.
On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature? On the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, Mr. Mars, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Or there are two boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? And I also have another document here on paper that's titled Discovery Certification. And do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Now, Mr. Morris, before you signed and initialed all of these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibits 1 and 2. State's Exhibit 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, State's Exhibit 2, the probable cause affidavit, which is in the court's file. States, would like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. And Mr. Wilkerson, you've advising counsel, Mr. Morris, in this case as well. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Morris, your attorney, Mr. Wilkerson, has advised you in this case as well. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yeah.
Mr. Morris, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Case for plea of no contest, state agreed to recommend 180 days in jail, probated for 1 year, 12 months, Your Honor, $1,000 fine, court costs, 80 hours community service, all standard terms and conditions for a deed to be out first and interlife advice throughout probation. This is the exact same conditions as in the previous case. We'd ask that the record correct with this.
Okay. That's entry 2. 6, 2. Right. Okay. Mr. Morris, the state is offering that you serve on 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for a period of 12 months. During the 12-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000. You'll also be required to pay court costs, in this case, of $470. And you'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a year analysis fee of $15 each month, and you'll be required to pay a restitution fee of $15. You'll also be required to pay a Jefferson County DW education class initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $178. Now, I must tell you that because you'll be on probation, they're going to reduce this 178 by $60. That's the probation fee. You only pay one probation fee, not two probation fees. And so in essence, you'll probably be paying in the neighborhood of $168 a month. Now that has to be $118 a month. That will be adjusted by the probation department. Now, will you be able to pay that? Okay. Now, you'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service, attend to complete the DWI class, have a drug and alcohol assessment. You install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own and operate. You also adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation. In this case, will run concurrent with the companion case or the previous case, cause number M321623. Now, Mr. Morris, do you understand the state's offers? Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Morris, I'll follow the plea bargain agreements that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Morris, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney and follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Wilkerson, you'll be free to go as well.